had a yearning for something more. And let me just say, when you pray, slow down. Just pray when you just slow down so that you can hear what God's saying. And I have prayed for patience, but would get frustrated in moments where God gave me opportunities to be patient. My children and I were better at communicating, but I still noticed if I had a bad day at work, then my day at home was difficult. There was a Wednesday night, I believe that they announced a new small group called Freedom from Anger. My son was in there. He looked at me and he said, "Mom, you better be going there." And he was right. Oftentimes, those you love don't always get the best of you. They get what's left of you. If my son was seeing it, then something was seriously wrong. So I was attending that class as soon as it opened. It was still difficult to work alongside my boss, but I was getting better at responding when he would be hurtful. I would also talk about my frustrations of the inappropriate relationship in my small group. Shortly after, a new step studies class was announced, and that's just that's just a little bit more in depth, and I would recommend it. Step studies. Shortly after that, my small group leader asked me to co-lead. I went to my boss, and he agreed to accommodate my schedule. In the past, I would have never put anything before my career, but if I was going to align with God, I needed to make that change. I needed to say yes. A little while after that, in class, I had shared that I needed God to show me what to do with this relationship. I wanted a man whose heart was on fire for God. I wanted to be focused on my relationship with Christ, that one would have to seek God to find me. In July of last year, that's wrong. I did try to rewrite this multiple times. In July, probably a couple years ago, I guess, my family and I had went on vacation, and then we returned. My boss wrote me up. I was angry, and this made our relationship take a step back. I prayed and leaned on my sponsor to introduce me to someone, but I blew it off. The next morning, I woke up and felt like God was asking me how long I was going to continue to be in an inappropriate relationship, but ask him for a man whose heart was on fire for God. So I ended that unhealthy relationship that day. A couple weeks later, I met someone. Things moved quickly, and it ended in just a few months. It was painful, and I was angry because I didn't understand why God was making me go through it. I had attended a ladies' night out event and listened to a woman talk about her prayer journals. In 2019, I was offered the opportunity to go to a new store. I was skeptical because change can bring on feelings of fear. With God's help, I said yes. I was listening to a sermon that day I made the decision, and the pastor said, if you don't change, you don't grow. That was my confirmation from God that I made the right decision. God to place a big flashy billboard in front of me, but that'd be too easy. During Kelly's sermon on the next level, I felt like God spoke to me. He said, deepen your faith in me, be still, and trust that I am in control. In March, I received a call that my uncle had been killed in a terrible car accident. It was a shock, but I know I'm going to see him again. 3 weeks later, my uncle committed suicide. He was grief-stricken from losing his brother. This was difficult for my family to process. I was